Number 6 is Steins Gate. And there's always the possibility that you're seeing my video before his. Steins Gate is somewhere on his list. But my take on Steins Gate is that it has a lot of really good characters, and the story, it's very tragic. Some of the parts of the story there's serious tragedy in some of these things. Mm-hmm. And the writing, it's very real. And, like, the realness, that's something that sometimes, like, kind of goes unnoticed or is difficult to appreciate. But when it's as very pronounced and as, like, harsh as this, it really makes you think a lot about yourself and about life in general, about human nature, like the ways we want to change things. And sometimes, and one thing I like about it is that for every example, it wasn't immediately, it was just the wrong thing. Like, you should never have done it. It should never have happened. The world is the worst place. And a lot of them, it goes both ways. In some ways, it really does improve people's lives, but in other ways, things are really bad or really different. And it's kind of like what Jeff said earlier. It doesn't paint humanity as something inherently evil or inherently good. It's different from person to person, and the show really does respect that. I really loved both of the main characters. Okabe, played by, in the dub, by Jay McTatum, and I forget her name, but she's amazing, played by Trina Nishimura.
Oh, Makise.
Makise
Chris.
I usually just call these characters by their voice actor names. Those two, they work off each other so well. They are so hilarious, and they have really great comedy and really great drama. And this is the execution of this, it's a rather simple idea. It's a very simple idea.
I'd hesitate to call it simple.
No, the idea is basically just, you make a time machine. What would happen? And, and that's kind of like that's kind of the running theme I see in the Science and Fencer trilogy, which is in the middle of, like, in Chaos Head, it was, what if everything you think is real is an illusion? And in Robotics Notes is, what if you actually tried to build a giant robot? And they build on that. But Steins Gate is the best out of the three just because of how seriously it takes itself and how much, like, care was put into the storylines and the acting and the artwork. It was just, like, it's a very powerful show. And Jeff definitely agrees with me about that.
I would agree.
Yeah.
And I would way more into this conversation, but I already did.
Yeah.
In my video, so...
Hint, hint, hint. Alright, moving on. Number 5 is One Piece. Now, I'm currently in one of my chunks of watching it. I'm about, 70, 80-ish episodes in. It is already so good. And the reason why I was able to just... Even though I knew nothing about it, I was able to, really relate to what he thought about Fairy Tail, is that the manga are written by the same person, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is so amazing.
How does he have the time?
Because he has 2 of the longest running...
Most famous
mangas.
Most critically acclaimed, longest, best-selling.
In addition to having those mangas have long, successful animes. So, whatever he's doing it right.
Yeah. But, One Piece is, I feel like the things I like about One Piece are also going to be present in Fairy Tail. That's why
I'll be the judge of that.
Well, we'll see, I'll see Fairy Tail, you'll see One Piece.
No, tell me what you like about One Piece.
Well, the thing about One Piece is that there's just so much love put into this project. It starts, when I was hearing stuff about it and seeing snippets, it just seemed like a really weird screwball comedy about this kid who wants to be king of the pirates. But it's a lot more than that. It is so much more than that. The characters, in The Heroic Legend of Arslan, which was on his list, about, the people around him, they form such loyalty to him just for the fact of how kind and genuine he really is. And it's kind of like that with One Piece. The main character, Luffy, he has a very kind heart, and while he's definitely a lot more upfront than Arslan is, I think it really works. And the friendships and the bonds that are formed, they're very believable because it takes its time. It really does. In fact, the only sort of genuine problem I have with it is that the pacing is a little slow. Many of the story arcs are paced kind of like the last act of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, where like 3 hours of screen time takes about 6 hours of anime to watch. But I really love this, and like, there's a love and a kindness behind One Piece. Like Nami's backstory, especially, that's just like, wow, like they did that, and it's executed so well. One Piece is another thing I would call it is huge. Like, I'm not even 100 episodes in, and I have seen so many characters, so many places, so many ideas, so many story arcs, and there's so much room for more. There's an entire world to look around and explore and meet new people. And it's great to know that I stumbled across something that's amazing, and I am just getting started. One Piece is just a show that makes me happy. Like, I love watching it. I love thinking about it. I love talking about it for you guys. So,
did you see the picture where it goes, I don't get One Piece because they spend 600 episodes looking for One Piece when they can just go to KFC and get 3 pieces for $5.99.
That is amazing.
So, moral of the story is, forget the One Piece. Just go to KFC and
Becoming king of the pirates is hard. Just get fried chicken.
Get 3 pieces.
I don't care. Just give me a bucket of fried chicken.
Just get 3 pieces for $5.99.
Well, I am just getting started, and I love One Piece already, and I really recommend it to everybody listening, including Jeff. Because when he talked about Fairy Tail, a lot of the things that he specified liking about Fairy Tail are things that are present in One Piece. So, I really loved that show. And I love watching Luffy become king of the pirates! It's a lot of fun. Alright, number 4 is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. And again, kind of the same situation I came across when talking about it for the top 20. There's not a lot left to say about it. It is...
Did we ever... Because I know this is another one of those videos where we did a whole video on this, where we talked about Fullmetal Alchemist versus Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, but it ended up on the cutting room floor. So let me just tell you, if I don't sound very enthusiastic about this conversation, it's because He's not.
But for the sake of you watching, we're both going to be good sports and talk about this show a little bit more.
All right.
I think that One Piece, that Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is a really good epic. That show is huge.
Oh no, it's a great show. I loved it. It was actually one of the first animes outside of Free that I watched. So
and Fullmetal Alchemist was one of the first animes I've seen, and both of them were so good. And then I looked at, and it just opened up this whole new world, and I fell down this hole, and I'm binge watching so many animes, no regrets.
See, this is what happens. You watch one, and then you just keep watching them, and it sucks you in. It's not good.
Yeah.
No regrets.
No regrets. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, I think that the best thing to say about it is that this story is huge, and it's a very well-made epic. Like, it's very intellectual, but it knows how to have fun with itself. Like, there's some great comedy throughout it. There's some great silly moments, but it also knows when to get serious, and it strikes a very good balance, I would say. The story is huge. There's a reason why they needed 64 episodes, and to this date, it's one of the longest animes I've seen. And
wait till you see D. Gray Man.
Oh, man. Well, I'm also going to be watching stuff like Monster, or Fairy Tail, or One Piece. And I'm looking forward to it. But Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, again, it is measurably one of the most critically acclaimed anime ever made. It is, like, we both love it. We both talked about it, but again, if you somehow haven't seen it, it is worth your time.
The main argument that we've had
is gonna be discussed a little bit more at number 3.
Oh, okay, fine.
And that brings us to number 3. My third favorite anime of all time is Fullmetal Alchemist. The original run from 2003 and 4 and 5. I thought that maybe it's possible because I've seen it first, but I also kind of went into the second one expecting it to be better. But I don't know. I just felt like they're both very, very good shows, and I really think that the difference is not that much. But I think that Fullmetal Alchemist, the story was better, and I think it focused more on the better things.
Excuse me, what planet
Let me
are you
say
from?
my point. Okay, like, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is an epic. Fullmetal Alchemist is a story about two brothers, and considering what the show is, I think that the first one is a little bit more fitting. I think that the story was was more philosophical and more intense. And, it was surprising how deeply invested I got into those two brothers and the things that they did, the struggles they had to face, the hardships they came across. Some of the twists along the way are just completely out of nowhere, but I thought that it really did work. And I do realize that I am in a very, very lonely corner with 5 other people.
As
total.
you should be.
Well, he obviously does like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood a lot more. And again, this is something that I think would make a lot of people want to strangle me, is that I think that the ending is so much better in Fullmetal Alchemist. With the Conqueror Shambhala, you're going to Germany! We're gonna do stuff with rockets! Women are gonna become dragons and mud monsters! But I think that with all of the weirdness, it was I actually think that the ending was more fitting, because, the point was that things turned out everything that could have turned out all right in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. But Fullmetal Alchemist is kind of we need to move forward. We need to do more. And I think that was a little bit more fitting ending considering what the story is. Now, again, if you like the other one more, that's nothing. I have nothing against you as a person. I just disagree with you. All right, you say your thing.
All right, so the reason why you're wrong... You're not actually all that wrong. They're two good stories, but I think if you want to compare the two, there is no comparison. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is the actual story that the author, whose name is Hiromu Arakawa...
I remember her saying that she liked the way that they took the story in the first one.
You can like it, but if you come to anyone and say, which is the real story, they're going to tell you Brotherhood. Fullmetal Alchemist is an anime written by Bones, using characters created... by Hiromu Arakawa. Yeah. So, obviously, one is more real than the other. That's not my issue.
But entirely. From an objective standpoint.
I can't believe they brought him into the real world. That's when they lost me. I was willing to hang on to it till the end, even though I knew it wasn't the real story. Because I saw Brotherhood first. So I knew how...
what it was supposed to be.
I knew how Arakawa...
How it was supposed to be.
How it wanted to go. How she wanted it to go. So... I was able to sit through all of Fullmetal Alchemist, with them changing the story around and whatever, and it was a decent enough story. But then they got to the end, and he ended up in London. And at that point, I threw the book, I threw everything out. And I'm just
That's where I was all like, whoa, this show is awesome!
And at that point...
The ending is right where you split. You either really love it, or you just think it's stupid.
It was so stupid. I can't. There's no excuses for that. I couldn't...
This is where our opinions diverge. That's why there's a top 10 for each of us.
The ending was just... Why? Why put us in the real world? Why do a whole movie about Germany and London and all this other stuff? And in the end, he doesn't get to be with Winry. He doesn't get to have full use of all of his limbs. His brother...
But they get back together in the end.
Yes, but you get back together.
That's what's important. They were apart for years, and they finally get back together.
They needed to be together. He needed to be with Winry, and he needed to be with Al. Together at the same time.
Well, I obviously disagree, but hey, I just like the first one better, though. Again, I would understand if you like Brotherhood better. I think that Fullmetal Alchemist is better and one of my favorites.